Hey, welcome. Today, we're going to build a fortress, a digital one, right in the cloud. We're going to break down AWS security, but forget the complicated jargon. Instead, let's think of it as building and defending our very own castle. Sound good? Let's get into it.
Okay, before we even lay the first stone, we have to answer the most important question of all. When your stuff is in the cloud, on Amazon servers, who's actually on the hook for keeping it safe? Is it their job, or is it yours?
Well, the real answer is it's both of you. It's a partnership. AWS calls this their shared responsibility model. The easiest way to think about it is this. AWS is responsible for security of the cloud. They build the strong fortress walls, they secure the physical gates, they pour the concrete foundation. But you are responsible for security in the cloud. You decide who gets a key, you control the locks on the doors, and you manage everything that happens inside those walls. So here's our game plan for building this fortress. First, we've got to protect the crown jewels, the data. Then we need to get a handle on who has the keys to the kingdom. After that, it's time to hire some security guards, and finally, we'll put it all together in one master blueprint. All right, let's start with the absolute most important thing inside any fortress, the treasure. And in the cloud, your data is the treasure. Honestly, if your data isn't secure, nothing else really matters. So this is our first, and you could say our most critical line of defense. So how do we lock up this treasure chest? Well, one of the best tools is S3 Object Lock. You can think of this as a digital time lock on a vault. It creates what's called a write once, read many model. That just means once a file is saved, it's immutable. It cannot be changed, it cannot be deleted for a period of time that you set. This is a massive defense against ransomware or even just accidental oops moments. And for some industries like finance or healthcare, this isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have for compliance.
And you get to choose just how tight you want to lock that vault. Governance mode is like a really strong lock that stops most people from deleting files, but you can give a few special admins a key to override it if you absolutely have to. Compliance mode, though, that is the ultimate deadbolt. Once you lock a file in compliance mode, it's done. No one, and I mean no one, not even the main account owner, can touch that file until the timer runs out.
Okay, but what if someone malicious gets a key and just tries to delete everything? That's the stuff of nightmares. To stop that, we have MFA delete. This adds another genius layer of protection. To permanently, forever, delete a critical file like a backup, it's not enough to just have the permission. You also have to provide a code from a multi-factor authentication device. It's like a missile silo. You need two people turning two different keys at the exact same time.
Now, turning this on isn't just a simple click of a button, and that's totally on purpose. It's a very deliberate process that you have to do through the command line. That friction is a security feature, not a bug. It makes sure that something this powerful can't be turned on, or more importantly, turned off by accident. Okay, our treasure is locked down tight. That's great, but a locked chest isn't very secure if you just leave the keys lying around for anyone to grab. That takes us to our second layer, controlling who gets access to the kingdom in the first place. In the AWS kingdom, you've basically got two kinds of keys. You have the root user key. That's the master key to the entire castle. It opens every door, it can do anything. Then you have IAM user keys. These are special keys that you create, and they only open specific doors. You might give a developer a key to the workshop, but absolutely not to the treasury. You see the difference? This is, and I'm not kidding, probably the single most important piece of security advice for AWS. Do not use the root account for your everyday work. Treat it like it's the crown jewels. You use it once to set things up, then you lock it in a virtual vault with multi-factor authentication, and you never touch it again unless it's an emergency. For everything else, you use those limited IAM users. And as your kingdom gets bigger, you're going to need more than just one castle. That's where AWS Organizations comes in. It's like your central throne room to manage an entire empire of accounts. You can group them, say, all your production accounts here and your development accounts over there. And then you can apply kingdom-wide laws called service control policies or SCPs. The best way to think about an SCP is like,
It's not a rule. It's the law of physics for your account. If an SCP says no one can use the service, it doesn't matter what permissions an individual has. It just can't be done. Period.
All right, treasure's locked, keys are managed. What's next? Well, now it's time to post some guards on the walls. We need services that are actively, constantly, 24/7, watching for anything suspicious. And you don't just want any old guard. You want a whole team of specialists. Think of AWS WAF as your gatekeeper, checking the ID of every bit of traffic trying to get to your website. Then you have guard duty. That's your intelligence officer, using machine learning to spot weird behavior anywhere in your kingdom. Macy is your dedicated treasure room guard, constantly scanning S3 to make sure you haven't accidentally left sensitive data out in the open. And finally, Inspector is like your armorer, checking all your servers for chinks in the armor, known vulnerabilities, before an attacker can find them. So, we've looked at all these individual pieces. Tools for data, for access, for threat detection. Now it's time to zoom out and see how this all clicks together. This is where we get to see the master plan.
And that master strategy is called defense in depth. The idea is so simple, but it is so powerful. You never, ever rely on just one single thing to protect you. You build layers, lots of overlapping layers. So if an attacker somehow gets past the outer wall, they still have to deal with a moat, and then the inner wall, and then the guards, and then the locked treasure chest inside.
And here it is. This is our finished fortress blueprint. You see how it all works together? WAF is at the perimeter. If something slips past, guard duty catches it on the network. Inspector is making sure your servers themselves are tough to crack. Macy and Object Lock are protecting the data at the very core. And holding it all together is our access control layer, with IAM and organizations making sure only the right people have the right keys. That right there, that's defense in depth in action. So, when things feel complicated, just bring it back to this 4-part framework. 1. Protect the data itself. Lock it down. 2. Control the keys. Be ruthless with who gets access. 3. Deploy your automated guards to watch for threats. And 4, always think in layers. Which brings us to the final question, and this one's for you to think about. Looking at this blueprint and thinking about your own cloud environment, which layer needs the most work? Is it the perimeter, your access controls, the data itself? Because just starting to think this way, in layers, is the first, most important step to building a fortress that's truly secure.